So today we're going to talk ceramics. So when I say ceramics, there are a few different definitions, but the one that we're going to be talking about today is basically using clay to create art or whatever you want it to be. So you have used a ceramic in your life, without question. The most common is probably going to be a plate or a mug or a bowl. Those that you buy out of just places, those are ceramic. Specifically, those are wheel thrown manufactured, but that's not what we're going to be talking about today. Today we're going to be talking about hand throwing. Now, hand throwing is different from wheel throwing in that with wheel throwing, you have a very, very thin clay, but with a hand throwing, you have a very, very thick clay. Now, the difference is that with hand throwing, you can basically make whatever you want. So when it's not just going to be end up being like plates and mugs and stuff like that, you can make statues and it's much more of an art than just making bowls. Not that wheel throwing isn't an art; it's an incredibly hard skill. But hand throwing is much more versatile, and I'm hoping we're going to show you that today. All right, so the basics of hand throwing your clay is thus. First, you want to mix up your clay. I know that sounds ironic, it should come mixed already, but the sediment in your clay, you really want to get that to permeate your piece throughout. So when you cut off a piece of clay, you want to take it and you want to knead it like it were dough you're making for like bread or pizza or something. Second step, once you've done that, cut out your base. Now your base can be whatever size or shape you want it to be. Then we're going to start on a recommendation. Start off with a bit of thickness, like maybe an inch or so, because that's going to be important later on. So then take more of your clay, cut it out, and make it into long strips. Now these strips, what you want to do is, once you cut them out, you want to twist them and roll them till they're as circular as you can make them. Don't expect it to be perfect. Then what you want to do is put it around your base and push down on your strip, then pull up with your base. That way they will stick together, and that's why you want your base to be pretty thick when you're just starting out. Also make sure to score. Now scoring is cutting notches in what you're trying to get to adhere to each other. It just gives it more surface area so friction can do its work. Now you want to do that however many times and whatever shape you want. Now an important thing is that you must keep it at least damp. Otherwise you're not going to be able to work with your clay because it'll harden, and then once it hardens you're going to have a hell of a time getting it back to workable condition, as I've recently tried. So take a bottle of water and just or a spray bottle. Just take a spray bottle and just like spritz into your bag a few times, and make sure you spritz on your project if you're going to be taking a long time with it. So then once you have your project, I'm just gonna assume it's like a vase or something. Take it, and as you go up and go higher and higher, you may want to step away for a little bit, because if you're doing this all in like one sitting, your base is not going to be able to support it. So you're going to want the base to slowly dry as it goes along. So that's an important thing to know. So I'm going to assume that you have your vase built and you're kind of satisfied with it, but you probably have these rings on the outside that you want to get rid of. So what you want to do is you want to take a smooth tool and you just want to go over and over in every which way you can, because that is going to even out whatever bumps, whatever parts in there that are kind of thin. Just keep going over and over on them, and that should get them out. Now, once you've left it, now you want to get it dry. Now, getting it dry is not hard. Just put it on like a shelf somewhere, preferably somewhere that gets like a bit of heat. Probably the room that gets the most sun in wherever you live. Because you don't want to leave it outside, because if you leave it outside, then the wind's probably going to take it. But once you get it dry, now you've got earthenware then. Now earthenware is hard, but it's still pretty fragile. So after that, what you want to do is you want to get a hold of a kiln, or find a place that has a kiln more likely. And once you have that, then they will fire that. Now it'll depend on what clay you were using before, because depending on what type of clay you used, it's going to take like different temperatures, different times, and you want to make sure it's dry, because if it's not dry, then if it's in a kiln, it'll explode. And even then, there's always a possibility of something exploding in a kiln, which is always fun. So yeah, once you've gotten this far and you've thrown it into a kiln, you basically have your piece. Now, the next thing that you may want to do is you may want to glaze. Now, glazing is essentially painting for a piece. Now, glaze is a combination of pigments, silicate, and a lot of other things. If you have a plate or bowl or a mug, it's been glazed, because you get like this smooth, like white inside, and everything on the outside. Well, not this. This is like a detail that they add on that later. But the white ceramic that you think is ceramic is actually glaze, which is melted glass or melted sand that they put in paint. That's not cool. So then, and there are a lot of types of glaze. It's literally, if you can make glaze, you're set for life. But yeah. So that's basically all you need to know about throwing a hand-thrown bit of clay together to make into whatever you want. That's basically your first. If you take a hand-throwing course at anywhere, this is basically what they'll teach you. I mean, not in 5 minutes, but yeah. So yeah, have fun.